Excellency Sister President Mariam, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, I carry greetings from Iraq, the suffering and resisting country. 30,000 mujahideens 26 years ago have suffered under the behest of Khomeini. Since then, hundreds of thousands of people were killed, tortured, many have become refugees. The hanging in Iran is the highest in the world except for China. And if one compares the population of the Chinese with the population of Iran, one can see the inhumane attitude toward hanging in Iran. The mullahs have been condemned repeatedly by the Human Rights Council, by Napi Pillai, and many others. Most of the human rights organizations have addressed these issues. Ashraf people, the Ashrafis, they were living in a camp called Ashraf Camp. But then, after the occupation of Iraq, they were moved, ironically, to a prison which was built by the Americans, but it is called Liberty. That prison is located near the airport of Baghdad. The people at Camp Liberty at the moment, the Ashrafis, bring into shame the international community attitude toward human rights. In Iraq, after a full year of peaceful campaigning and demonstration by the Iraqi people, demanding their ordinary rights, people shouldn't be put in prison without a trial, there should be no discrimination, people should be treated equally, and all the normal things. For a whole year of demonstration, which the international community did not recognize, did not know, the government in Baghdad, acting at the behest of the Iranian mullahs, committed at least 4 massacres in Iraq, in Hawija, in Fallujah, in Mosul, and in Diyala. Nobody in the world talked about that one. The world was quiet about that one. This brings into disrepute sometimes the selectivity of how we address some of the human rights abuses in some places, at some times, by some people, and we don't do the same thing in other places. The uprising in Iraq, as a result of this abuse, it is not by ISIS. Please do not fall into this trap. ISIS is a terrorist organization. They cannot take over half the country of Iraq. This uprising in Iraq, it is by the people of Iraq in the governorates that have rose against the government. There are what's called the military councils, which are the people, the inhabitants of these governorates. They are being led by generals and senior army officers from the previous National Army of Iraq. There are the tribal councils, which is made up of the people of these areas. But certainly, there is, when you have this situation, you have terrorist organizations there. These terrorist organizations do not represent the people. They do not represent Iraq, and most certainly they do not represent Islam. They can carry the banner of Islam, but they don't represent Islam or the Muslims, because no one would accept the abuse of people, of minorities, because of they have different religion or different ethnicity. Nobody accepts the destruction of mosques and churches. Nobody accepts the way they are treating the people in Iraq. It is the people who are suffering from terrorism are the people who can rid themselves of terrorism. And the Iraqis have done this before. The current situation in Iraq, I'm sure everybody is aware that the Maliki government, or Maliki as a person, has been removed in theory. And this is one of the victories of the Iraqis. This man has taken control of the country, all of it. So he's the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the Commander-in-Chief, and he has control of over the 7 main components of the state, including the Central Bank of Iraq, including the High Court. They are all attached to him. And this is a split within the party between Maliki and the new Prime Minister. But I don't think we should be judgmental before we start. Let's wait for this man, see what he can do. He has certain easy things to do. He needs to restore justice. He needs to stop corruption. He needs to get everybody to participate. This country belongs to those people. It doesn't belong to any group, whether they are ethnicity, Kurds or Arabs or Christians or Muslims or Shiites or Sunnis. It doesn't belong to any group. This is a country which belongs to all of them. And everybody has the same right. And the equality we must have. Thank you very much.